Today's day the 27th at 7:41. On our way back to Preston again. Dawn's just broke through. Looks like a nice day on the phone. It's still quite darkish really. Well, I hope you're all well. See what today's events bring. See if I have to wait another hour for a reload. Just hit the M62. Got 96 miles to go. 2 hours 10 minutes. And then we've got to find the place. So I'll catch you in a bit, guys, when it's a bit more lighter. Although it does look light on the screen.
Where energy prices have continued to soar, more and more households are getting into debt, sadly, and yes, suppliers are defaulting too quickly into installing prepayment meters.
Well, you're going to be way off.
I would take issue with one thing that Anne said, and it's only a small thing, but they're not the most expensive. So if you pay with your standard credits, that's when you just get a bill, perhaps every quarter or every month. That's become more expensive very recently, but still much more expensive compared to being on a direct debit.
So it's not that much more expensive. Do we know roughly how much, or does it differ between, like, I guess, energy providers?
It's about, yeah, it does differ depending on which supplier you're with, but it's about £65 a year more expensive. But that is only, yeah, it is, and those households that are on prepayment meters, sadly we know that they are much more likely to have lower income. So typically about half of prepayment meter customers have incomes below £18,000 per year in their income, and they're much more likely to be in significant debt already to their energy supplier. So therefore they'll be paying off debt as well as having to pay the standing charges on their energy meter as well.
Peter, yesterday we had a text message come through which sort of kicked off the whole discussion, and he goes, why do prepayment customers pay more than direct debits and bill payers, given they pay up front and can't get in arrears? This was from Mike the decorator. Ron asked this question as well.
Well, it is a key question. For a long time, the energy suppliers and Ofgem have said that it's much more expensive for suppliers to support prepayment meter customers, and that's because often those customers need to go to shops to top up their meters, and to pay for the infrastructure that supports that is more expensive compared to direct debit or standard credit customers. But that is only partially true, because smart meters, new prepay smart meters, can offer not only greater convenience in terms of households topping up when they want, not relying on shops to help them top up. They can also access government support better, but crucially, there's no need for that infrastructure in shops, because often you top up online or through your phone, or even your meter can be automatically sent credit, so there isn't a need to pay for that infrastructure, and therefore it shouldn't be more expensive. So we're challenging the government on that and the regulator.
So will they always be with us there? Do you think it's going to be inevitable that there'll always be a prepay option?
Well, in some ways, some households like being on prepayment meters. If you're on a low fixed budget, often it's better to know that you've spent what you can afford, and many households welcome that sort of budgeting option. But it really is only going to be. It's very unfortunate that so many households are being put on not just new smart prepay, which is what I've mentioned, has the ability to top up remotely, but these older legacy prepayment meters are really difficult. In particular, at the moment, the government's providing quite a lot of support for households to manage their energy bills during this crisis. And it's much easier to access that support if you're not on these older legacy prepayment meters.
It's a tough one, isn't it? Because you wouldn't want to do away with it, because it takes a lot of people's opportunities to be able to get their energy and electricity. But sometimes it's like, if it's an option that people can take, they'll have to take it. I'm like, it's catch-22, isn't it, really, with this energy situation?
Well, often people won't have had the prepayment meter installed for them. Often people inherit prepayment meters, particularly in rental accommodation, social or private, and they find themselves, just throwing a key card to top up, and that's the only relationship that they have with their energy supplier. But it is something that can be addressed. We would urge those households that are on prepayment meters at the moment to contact their energy supplier and make sure that their contact details are up to date. That will mean that they can access the latest government support, because households, even those on older prepayment meters, are being sent cheques or vouchers of £60 to help them a month to help them manage their energy bills, and it's vital that the energy supply can get that support out to people. It's also really important, if you're a prepayment meter customer, to open your post in this period, because it could be containing vouchers of up to over £60 a month to help you manage your energy bills over this winter.
Would it be better to invest into a process that can convert all the old prepaid meters into the new ones? Would that work? Or, what type of operation? How big of an operation is that?
Well, frankly, that operation is already underway. So overall, there's about 4 million prepayment meters, and about 2 million of them are these new smart prepayment meters, which are much better. We've still got to get to those other 2 million households. But last year we did a report which said that given the benefits to households, you can remotely top up easier, switch between suppliers, get better tariffs, access the government support better. That presents about £5 billion worth of consumer benefits. So huge amount of benefits to those households if they can convert those last 2 million households across. In addition, suppliers benefit massively from those savings as well. As I say, they don't have to pay for that prepayment infrastructure. It would save them over £1 billion. If they were to switch all their customers over, so we're hoping they get on with it.
Peter, I'm going to eat into your time because we've got a couple of messages that have come through. Let me read you this first one. It says, and if we could clarify this, because I see so much on Instagram especially around not paying your bills and not being cut off, so it'd be nice to hear what you've got to say about this. This one, there's no name on this one. It says, trust me when I say energy companies will not cut you off. I work in the industry, but for obvious reasons I do not want to give my name, and we're not allowed to cut people off. If you're caught fixing your gas, electric or growing drugs in your property, then you would be cut off, but it would be put back on after investigations are finished. We cannot leave a property without gas or electric. A prepaid meter is more expensive, but we do everything possible not to cut you off. There are laws in place for a reason. What can you say about that? What can you tell about that? Tell us about that, Peter. Will energy companies cut you off?
Well, it is relatively rare, thankfully, and the amount of disconnections have been dropping.
Be truthful, mate. They fit you a smart meter. They're breaking your house and fit you a smart meter. Away as you go. I know for a fact.
You don't have enough money to top up, and you stop topping up that meter. Ironically, as well as being really dangerous for your health, particularly if you've got medical health conditions, that doesn't actually stop you owing money to your supplier, because standing charges continue to be charged on that meter regardless of whether or not energy is being drawn in the home. Those standing charges have been growing significantly in recent years, and so often when households don't top up for long periods of time, go to top up again, they have to pay these huge standing charges and potentially some arrears before they can access any units of energy. And that cycle is really, really damaging to people.
Yeah, but it's not for your company, is it?
For clearing that up.
Hey?
Peter. I've got another one. This is from Paul in Grimsby. It says, morning Kofi, surely if there is a cost to electric and gas prepaid meters for the company, this should be passed on to the customer at a fair rate. If you can't pay your utilities, then a meter will make you keep an eye on what you're using. Why would others keep propping up the non-payer? People need to get their priorities right, whereas they think it's their human right to have a TV subscription, cigarettes, drinks, holidays, cars. Everyone is having to cut back at this moment in time. What would you say about that?
Well, I don't want to be rude about the views of your listeners, but I think that there are some sort of tropes in there or stereotypes which aren't particularly welcome. In addition, the real subsidy actually within the energy system has been low-income households who can't switch, subsidising the cheaper deals of those that can. And that's been happening a lot in the energy market. And as those deals have got increasingly more expensive due to the energy crisis, those households that were previously savvy switchers have then dropped back onto the default tariff cap or the current price cap. And that costs a lot of money. And those costs are being borne increasingly by those customers that have got no other option but to stay with their supplier, either because of debt or because they're unable to engage in the energy market for a range of reasons. So it's important you look at sort of both sides of the telescope on this one, I think.
And we've just got this one from Mike, the decorator. He says, like, the price on direct debit is 34p per kilowatt an hour. My prepayment price is more than 50% more, so it can be a lot higher. Again, I know earlier on, Peter, you said that it depends on the supply. Do you think this could be a difference in supply from what Mike is saying here?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to know which supplier, but
sure.
Yeah, you can find yourself on some pretty bad tariffs. The thing that also gets more expensive if you use emergency credit when you're on a prepayment meter, so your top up runs out, you continue to use emergency credit. That can be more expensive, and it also means that you're chasing your tail to pay off that emergency credit before the next voucher that you can access. So this is what I mean by a cycle, a really vicious cycle where households have very little option but to keep on spinning around in a very, very awful way for them.
It's just stressing me out, do you know what I mean? When I hear, the more we talk about this and the conditions that people are going to be living and going through, and like October is generally really warm. It's quite warm, but as it is getting colder, you're feeling the difference on an afternoon and an evening, and like this is just the beginning. So I was talking to producer Andy and was thinking we need to do more on this with energy prices and keeping people in the loop. So Peter, no doubt, will be chatting probably very soon in the future. Guys, that was Peter Smith there, lending us his time from the National Energy Action. If you've got more questions and things you want us to find out for you about energy prices, prepaid meters, direct debits, all this sort of stuff, all you need to do is just send in your questions, send your thoughts, and we'll try and find the right people, the appropriate people to explain it and break it down for us, if that's all right.
Kofi Smiles
at breakfast
on BBC Radio Humberside.
So in a wee bit we'll be back with Amanda, who's celebrating one of Hull's biggest community radio stations this morning. Wind turbines, how do you feel about them being close to your home? Let me know your thoughts. Drop me a text 81333, start your message with letters RH. Plus it's papers time to see what they're saying about the changes in Westminster next.
Hi, Joe Wicks here. BBC Children in Need is so important to me. Thanks to you, it makes a real difference to children and young people right across the UK, day in, day out. So this year, I'm asking for your help to raise as much money as possible. And you can get the whole family involved too.
Walk and talk for BBC Children in Need.
I'd love you to set yourself a challenge and do a spot of walking to support children where you live. This is your own walk in your own time, wherever you want, with whoever you want. Do a mile, do 5 miles, or even 100 miles. It's totally up to you how far you go. So what are you waiting for? Go to bbc.co.uk/Pudsey to get fundraising. And together, we can raise loads of money for BBC Children in Need.
Walk and talk
on BBC Radio Humberside.
Oh yes, we're going to be walking and talking shortly. I don't know what more I can tell them, can I? There's not much more I can tell them about what we're going to be doing for Children in Need in November. I'll sit on it. But it's definitely something that a lot of you can get involved in, and I would like you lot to get involved in as well, don't mind. I've been told Monday apparently is the day I can get. We're going to have some fun with it. Have lots of fun. Right, let's look at the papers though. At 7:52, the Times reports that Rishi Sunak is planning a radical set of reforms to the UK's education system. Did not see that coming. Mr. Sunak is reconsidering tax rises and major public spending cuts following an improvement in the state of the nation's finances. That's in the Daily Telegraph. The Daily Express asks, do you really want to scrap pension triple lock again? This is they're talking about this alongside reports that millions of pensioners fear greater hardship after the PM appeared to backtrack on Liz Truss's promise of a 10% triple lock rise. And the Hull Daily Mail saying keeping costs as low as possible is the secret behind Hull's recent success in attracting film companies to the city. Obviously, yesterday was the last day of filming for the Netflix's royal show, The Crown. I don't know, did I see them on my way today? No, they've gone, haven't they? They've packed up because I couldn't drive down Alfred Gelder Street for the past few days. So yeah, this is what happens when I'm driving in the morning. Sometimes you just don't autopilot, isn't it? Right, reviewing the papers for us, we should have Mandy Allen, the Coffee House writer. Mandy, good morning. Lovely to have you on. Let's have a look at this story. We've just mentioned it. Oh, no, different. A whole live Hollywood star. Hollywood is star of ITV's Lorraine as movie stars head to city. What's going on here?
I don't know about that one, but I was looking at the Hollywood about how Hull is deliberately trying to keep the costs low. So I'm not too sure about the rate.
Oh no, okay, sorry. So tell us, so how they're trying to keep the costs low as possible. What's going on?
Yeah, so it costs a lot, as you can imagine, to close a road, divert all that traffic, put police out, barriers and everything else. And Hull Council deliberately keep the costs low so they can, get more film production companies into the area, because it will have an impact on other local businesses as well. So it's always really good.
Right, guys,
And it's great to